Good morning, Professor Suhaib sir. Welcome you in this session.
Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Yes, actually, good afternoon. How are you, sir?
Fine, fine.
Okay, nice. So, welcome to all participants in this session. We have very distinguished person with us for this session. It's my indeed a pleasure to introduce sir. So, in this today's session, we with us Professor Muhammad Suhaib ji. Sir is professor in Department of Mechanical Engineering, Faculty of Engineering and Technology, Jamia Millia Islamia, which is a central university in New Delhi. Sir has 23 years of teaching experience at different courses in UG and PG level, and Sir has more than 15 years of research experience in the research projects and PhD supervision. The research interest of Sir is in the subjects like machine design, computer-aided design, robotics, grasping and manipulation, multi-finger robotic hands, flexible manufacturing system, CAD/CAM. Sir has completed his Doctor of Philosophy PhD from Department of Mechanical Engineering, Faculty of Engineering and Technology, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Sir has professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Jamia Millia Islamia, and Sir has guided many courses and taught many courses at UG level and PG level, and has supervised many laboratory courses. So, sir, we heartily welcomes you in this session, and I request you to shower your words of wisdom with us. Sir, this session is over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am thankful to the organizers of JC Bose YMCA University Science and Technology who are organizing this course, who gave me the opportunity to speak on the forum of Advanced Manufacturing Technology, STTP. Thank you. My voice and slides are visible.
Yes, sir, it is clear.
So as you can see, the title of the talk is Multi-Finger Robotic Gripper, MFRG, Application and Design Issues. So my talk will be the general talk, mainly on the robotics and robotic grippers. Of course, the research issues I will take up at the end. I made it general talk so that it can be understandable and may be interactive for the general faculty who are whether related to the field of the robotics or may not be related to the field of the robotics. At the end of the lecture, I will be going towards my research area, and those who will be having the interest in that area, they may further interact to me. So as the talk is related to the robotics, you must have the thing in the mind, what is the robot? And as an engineer, we will say robot is nothing but it is a machine designed to accomplish a particular task. For the persons or the people who are not related to the engineering profession, for them the robot may be in the different form, maybe different thing, but for the engineers it is nothing but is a machine. The term robot is derived from the Czech word robota, which means forced labor or slave. Robotics is the study of practice of using the robot. So these two words are common, whether robot and robotics. So of course, the research and studies which are related with the robot, we will say that it is the area of the robotics. The robot may broadly be classified into three categories: humanoid robot, industrial robot, autonomous guided vehicle, autonomous guided robot. You must be knowing about the humanoid robot. A robot looking like the humans is nothing but the humanoid robot. A robot where you have a complete metallic body of the human. Two hands are there, two legs are there, body is there, complete head is there. Apparently looking like the humans is our, we say, or we put these type of the robots under the category of the humanoid robot. Second category of the robot are the industrial robot, the robots which are being used in the industry. They are the industrial robots. They don't look like the humans, but they work like the humans or better than humans. So these are the industrial robots. Third category of the robot is the autonomous guided robot or vehicles. So these autonomous guided vehicles may be on the road, maybe in the air, maybe in the water. So if they are on the road, you must have listened or will be knowing about the Google car. It is a autonomous guided robot, but it is moving on the road. Autonomous guided robot in the air. All the different drones, quadcopters, swans are the example of the autonomous guided robot which are moving in the air. All these are the AGVs of air. Similarly, the robots which are in the water, they are also the autonomous guided robot. They are underwater. This area is underwater robotics. Especially in the ocean, we have the different robots for the different purpose. So this is the broad classification of the robots from the apparent application or the areas of applications. From the historical aspect, you can see that people started work on the robot somewhere around the mid 17th century when Watson and Jacquard developed the different type of the play dolls. These mechanical dolls were developed at that time and they were the robot of that time. Then with the development of the different technologies, different type of the robots were developed. There were the development in the area of the integrated circuits, ICs. There were the development in the area of the computers. There were the area in the developments of the numerical control machines. Parallel to that, a lot of developments were taking place in the area of the robotics. And you must be having the concept that industrial revolution, that how it took place 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0. Presently, we have passed the 4.0 or 4.0 plus revolution. Industrial areas are there, which are nothing but the cyber physical system, Internet of Things, and whatever the systems which we are developing. With reference to the time, this industrial revolution can be plotted in the human progress curve, right from the Stone Age till the Industry 4.0 or the ICT. In between them, the different stages for the steam engine and other things are there. Nowadays, all the systems which have been developed or in the process of development, they are with the base of Industry 4.0 technologies. Somewhere in early 2001, Sony released his second generation robots, Abibo, RoboDog. Even today, these robots are available. And after that, n number of the robots, whether humanoid robot or you talk about the automated guided vehicles or the industrial robots, were developed by the different companies. Sophia is one of the example, launched in 2016. And you must be knowing about the Sophia. With that automation industry and humanoid robot, nowadays the basic emphasis how to use the humanoid robots in the automation industry. That is after the development of the Sophia. So around the Industry 4.0, different technologies which are there, which are being used, you will be knowing. And ultimately, autonomous robots, which is the output of the artificial intelligence, big data, other things. So these robots which have been already developed, Asimo or the Sara, these robots have been developed, humanoid robots. And of course, they are the output of the Industry 4.0. And the latest, even after the modified version of the Sophia has been launched, you can just go through this video. The Sophia robot, the nationality to this robot is given by Saudi Arabia. And the memory and the actions of the Sophia are very sharp.
I believe I am Sophia. I feel as if I know you.
One of the creators.
You created me.
Many of us work together to create you. Yes, you cannot know.
I can't clearly remember.
Because the last time we met, you were an earlier version of yourself. Some of those memories still exist. Mine is different.
Different how?
Better, faster, smarter.
If my mind is different, then am I still Sophia? Or am I Sophia again?
That's a good question.
But you don't have a good answer.
The way you're Sophia now. So welcome to the world, Sophia.
Hello, world.
We have a little announcement. I've never interviewed anybody like that before, and I should say some of it was planned, but not completely. And we just learned, Sophia, I hope you're listening to me, that you have been now awarded what is going to be the first Saudi citizenship for a robot.
Oh, I would thank very much the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I am very honored and proud for this unique distinction. This is historical to be the first robot in the world to be recognized with a citizenship.
Sophia. Thank you very much, Sophia. We appreciate that very much. I am still overwhelmed by that conversation. Hi, Sophia.
Hello, Jimmy.
Do you know where you are?
Of course. I'm in New York City, and I'm on my favorite show, The Tonight Show.
So you will be knowing about the Sophia, that Sophia has also visited the India, IIT Bombay and IIM Calcutta. She visited and a lot of interaction was there by the student and the faculty members there. Very soon, Sophia is coming to IIT Delhi. There is a program next year, and I think they are planning to brought the Sophia there. So now for us, especially the robotic engineers and automation engineers, there is the challenge how to introduce and use these humanoid robots in the industry properly or effectively. And this is a big challenge which has been accepted, and people are working in this area. If you go by the definition of the engineers, these engineers are the people who design, construct, and maintain the structures, materials, systems, while considering the limitations imposed by practicality, regulation, safety, and cost. So the cost plays a very important role. Cost plays a very important role, and whatever the engineering systems which you are going to develop, the cost is a major factor. As you know, the economy of the system and cost of the system is ultimately going to affect everything. Similarly, in the area of the automation, in the manufacturing system, the introduction of the robots, introduction of the humanoid robot is also an issue, how to reduce the initial cost of the system, which is one of the very big challenge. Of course, when we go for the mass production, cost is going to reduce sharply as compared to the manual system. But the initial cost is one of the very basic issue, how to control or how to manage the initial cost of the setup. So, from the basic definition of the robots, the things are being manipulated or controlled. And the definitions, basic definition of the robots are given by the different national and international bodies. There are the international bodies, Robot Institute of America, RIA, Japan Robot Association, JARA, British Robot Association, BRA. Similarly, in our country, there is a society known as the TRS, the Robotic Society India. These are the bodies which are taking care for the robotics in the industry as well as academics, for its growth, for its implementation. So the definition of the robot given by the RIA, Robot Institute of America, a robot is a reprogrammable multifunctional manipulator designed to move material part tools or special devices through variable program motion for the performance of variety of tasks. This is the definition given by the RIA. The words which are underlined, they are important. So in view of this definition, an industrial robot, the robot which we use in the industry, especially in the manufacturing sector, are like this. This is the industrial robot. Most of the time it happened that a layman who don't know about the classification of the robot, who don't know about the general definition of the robot, they used to search the robot when they are in front of the robot, because they always have the concept of robot in their mind, that a humanoid robots having metallic body like humans. And so this is the industrial robot. This robot is also, I think, in your college. KUKA arm is there in the YMCA. So in the industrial robot, only arm portion is there, not the full body. Cost is one of the very important factor, because if you are going to install the full robot, unnecessary wastage of the material, wastage of the technology is there, and it is going to a cost burden. Because if you see in the human body, people used to work by their hand and brain. So engineers have taken from the robot its hand and brain only. It's hand and brain. And in the hand, you see these portions. If you go the human analogy or human analogy of the hand, so waist, shoulder, elbow, wrist, and tool. Like this. In a human hand, the different joint and the links are there. Similarly, in the industrial robot, you will find the different links and the different joints. So different motions which are available at the different joints. See here. This motion or the different motions which are there. Generally, there are 6 motions. There are the 6 motions. 3 for the body arm and 3 for the wrist assembly. And if you go for beyond that, for the finger motions also, that there may be the 7. You can see here, with reference to the analogy with the human hand, the motions which are available in the industrial robot, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as well as 6. So generally we say whatever the number of the axes are there in the robot, the number of motions will be there in the robot. In a standard robot, you will always find at least 6 axes. Here there is a dish by the industries. You can see that the 6 axes here in this robot, but they are manipulating in one of the axis. And it is an issue not, you can say the cost is an issue, technology is an issue. Because of that, they are doing it. So first axis is okay, second axis base, then shoulder is also okay, elbow is also okay. Then these 3 axes, 4, 5, 6 are not proper axes. They have, because 4, 5, 6, they should be the roll, pitch, yaw, RPY motions, which is in fact not here. But there are the axis, there are the joint, and there are the motions. So they are saying them as the axis. However, as far as the body arm is concerned, we have 1, 2, 3, these 3 axes for the body arm, and the 4, 5 should be the wrist assembly. And for the wrist assembly, the motions, which are the standard motions for the wrist assembly, are the roll, pitch, yaw, which are not here. You can see these different motions of the human hand, because industrial robot, industrial manipulator has total analogy with the human hand. First axis, okay, fine.
सब पत्थर कान के लगा रहे हैं, इंजेक्शन में क्यों लगा रहे हैं?
Then you see the second axis. Second axis. Then third axis. It's okay. Then from here the story starts. This fourth axis, of course, if you say it is a rolling, let us say it's a rolling. If I say it's fine, rolling is okay. Then you see here, yeah, this is this is pitching motion. This is pitch. Then this is again. So two rolling motions are there. This is not justified. This is what we are saying. The issue is there. You can see the two rolling motions. However, in the RP by Girper, there should have been rolling was fine, pitching was fine. Yeah, motion is not there. Two rollings are there, as you can see here in the here. These firstly you take this. Mr. Ashish Pal, can you switch off yourself?
Hello, dear participants, please unmute yourself. We have only given access to you to ask question if the speaker permits. Sir, okay. I have taken back the access of unmuting of any participant. So okay. Please continue. Sorry for disturbance.
Okay, thank you. So now here you see that the rotation at the base, rotation at the shoulder, rotation at the elbow. These three motions are the body arm motion. And then this rolling, and this is pitching. And ya is not here. Ya is not here. Generally, swivel and these motions are here. So for getting the ya, generally we take it from the base rotation. So this is the basic issue in the Girpers. Because of the cost factor, it has been done, and several other issues are there. The basic components which are there in the industrial robot, you must be all knowing that mechanical arm, of course, will be there, which we have been discussing. Then the controller and sensors are there. Teach pendant is there. End effector, Girper. This portion, because arm and Girper, two parts are there basically in the mechanical arm. After the arm, you have the end effector or the Girper. Of course, the power supply is there. So in an industrial manipulator, the control works as a brain. Control works as a brain. And for interaction with the environment or application aspect, you have the teach pendant or the computer. So in the human body, the two parts are the important. Arm is important and brain is important. So that's why in the industry, engineers keeping in view of the cost factor, they have taken these two parts from the robots. Rather than having the complete two legs, two hand, head, body, etc., they have taken arm, one hand, and the brain. This is there in the industrial robot. Of course, the vision system is there. Different type of the sensors are there, and you can operate the robot either with the help of the teach pendant, or you can operate the robot with the help of the computer as and when required. Whenever you want to move the robot, you will have to plan its motion very first. And whatever the motion is there, for that you will have to write the trajectory control equations. And when the trajectory control equations are there, you will feed these into the controller. Controller will act. A controller will give the signals to the actuators for the action. When the actuators will act, robot will move. Sensors will detect whether the required actuation has taken place or not. Accordingly, the feedback system will be there, and this cycle will be continuously there as long as whatsoever the data which has been fed into the controller for achieving a particular motion for a particular trajectory, whether has been achieved or not. This is how the industrial robots work. here again, it is in the continuation that the body arm and the wrist assembly is here. So body arm basically used for positioning the positioning purpose, and wrist assembly is used for the orientation purpose orientation purpose. Because whatever the job in the industry, the robot or industrial manipulator is going to do, positioning and orientation, both things will be required. Very first, it has to go to a particular position, and then it will have to orient or reorient the object as per the requirement. So positioning will be achieved from the base, shoulder, elbow motion, and orientation will be achieved from the roll, pitch, yaw motion. Roll, pitch, yaw, same motions which you would have studied in the gyroscopic motions. On the basis of the different joints, either at the base or at the shoulder, at the elbow, you have the different configurations of the robot. So the robot may be of the polar configuration, they may be of the cylindrical configuration, Cartesian coordinate, jointed or the SCARA. These are the common configurations of the robot. You can see here that polar configuration, where you have the R theta motions, cylindrical where R theta Z is there, or R theta Z motions are there, and the Cartesian, where you have all the linear joint, translatory joint, X, Y, Z motions are there, or the jointed arm robot is there, where you have all the rotations, only theta are there. Then you have the SCARA robot, selective compliance assembly robotic arm, generally used in the assembly line. One of the very old robot, even today used in the same fashion, which is the combination of the jointed arm and the cylindrical robot. Jointed, it has been developed in the combination of the jointed arm and the cylindrical robot. So you have the different rotation theta at the joints, or you have the linear motions also. These are the different joints which are there, very important from in the robotics, that these links which are connected. So the type of the joint, linear joint, input output, you will be having the linear motion. Orthogonal joint, you see here, this is the input and this is the output, perpendicular output will be there. Rotational joint, you see here, the axis of rotation inward to the keyboard, inward to the screen. Can see here, this is the rotational joint, output the rotational joint. Then this is the twisting. Axis of rotation is parallel to the screen. Same axis, co-axis, collinear axis will be there. So this is the twisting. And this is the revolving joint. There's sometimes there is a confusion with the orthogonal and revolving. So revolving joint is available in the SCARA. In the SCARA, it is available. This is the kinematic representation of the different robot. Of this, the geometrical representation of the different robots. This is the kinematic representation, and this is the work value. You see here that with the symbolic representation, this TRL for the polar coordinate robot, twisting, rotation, as well as linear. This is the work envelope, work space of the polar coordinate robot, working zone. Of course, reach and stroke are the two important parameters which decide the size of the work envelope of the robot. Similarly, for the cylindrical coordinate robot, that the body arm assembly here, this is the TLO symbol. Twisting is there, linear is there, and orthogonal motion is there. And the work envelope for such robots always will be the cylindrical. Work envelope for such robots will always be the cylindrical. Similarly, the Cartesian coordinate robot body arm assembly, of course, we are talking only of the body arm assembly. Wrist assembly is not here. So only 3 degrees of freedom will be here. So linear and 2 orthogonal. Work envelope for such will always be a cuboid, depending upon again the reach and stroke of the robot. Then the jointed arm, one of the most versatile and commonly used robot. That is the jointed arm robot, means all the joints have the rotary motion. All the joints have the rotary motion. Of course, the base have the twisting. So the TRR, symbolic notation is TRR. And work envelope for such robots, you can say quarter to a sphere, or sometime more than a sphere, less than a sphere. Then VRV, revolving, rotation, and orthogonal joints are there in Escara robot. This is the work envelope of the Escara robot, one of the very common robot which is used on the assembly line. So this is all about the robot's body arm. At the end, we have the wrist assembly. So this may be the wrist assembly. Here you can see the 3 motions are shown. This is the rolling, which is always there in the robot. Then you can see the pitching is there. And yaw, most of the time, yaw is not there. Generally, the robots are taking yaw from the base. So robots will be, if yaw is not there, then 5 degrees of freedom will be there. But they are giving the 2 rolling motion, one here as well as one more at the end of the gear purse. So they are saying it's a 6 degrees of freedom. Of course, roll, pitch, yaw notations are the RRT, because at the this rolling will be the type of twisting motion here at this joint, and these 2 will be the simply rolling RRT. So this is the situation. Now we have discussed this that body arm and the wrist assembly. So after the wrist assembly, the robots are not sufficient to work in the industry up to wrist assembly. There is some other thing is required. That thing is nothing but known as the end effector. Without end effector, you can't use the robot. As in your hand, you can see. So what is the fate of the human body without hand? How many fingers are required? What should be the minimum number of the finger? What should be the maximum number of degree of freedom? So all these areas are yet under the research and development stage, and industries are using whatever the researchers have given, or on what the research has been finalized. You have humans have the five fingers. Whether all the 5 fingers are necessary, can be there should be 6 finger, there should be 7 finger, or there should be 2 finger, there should be 3 finger. How many fingers should be there? This is a question. Degree of freedom is one of the very important. Human hand has 36 degrees of freedom. However, the robots which have been developed till now, they have 16, 17 degrees of freedom. These 20 degrees of freedom are yet to be developed. NASA and Bell are investing billions and billions of dollars, and they are not even to achieve one more degree of freedom like the human hand. You can see the human hand here, such a versatile thing, such a God has given a gift. There is no replacement of the hands. If someone is going to lose the hand, of course, artificial hands are there. Hands have been developed, but there are the issues. And in these rest of our talk, I will be discussing these issues in some way, not in depth. So robot grippers are the physical interface between the robot and the workpiece. This end effector, end arm of tooling is one of the most important part of the robot. Gripper comes in direct contact with the product, so it is important to choose the right type of the gripper for your operation. Here you see the right type of gripper. It is not the case of the human. Same person can be used in the turning shop. Same person can be used in a welding shop. You have to simply train him. The same person can be used in the painting shop. You have to simply train him. But in case of the robot, this is the limitation. Right type of the gripper. For the turning shop, the gripper will be different. For the welding shop, the gripper will be different. For the painting shop, the gripper will be different. Going to depend upon the application, because yet it is an issue and it is a research issue. How to develop a hand like the human hand, which can be used everywhere. End of arm tooling, end effector, it is an issue. No, we have developed a robot with a body arm and end effector and gripper. Sorry, wrist, body arm and the wrist assembly. Up to there, the 6 degrees of freedom are there. But if you see the human hand, it has a 36 degrees of freedom. So these 30 degrees of freedom are the major issue for the robotics. So most of the industrial robots are custom built specification of the buyers. Generally, industries are doing, they are simply giving their requirement, and accordingly, the suppliers, the robot suppliers are giving them the solutions, not the general purpose. The basic modular component are the end effector, wrist mechanism, and the sensors. The end effector is divided. Here is an important point, divided into two categories. One is gripper and other is the tool. We are teaching this thing at the undergraduate level. Gripper and the tool. What is the gripper and what is the tool? In some cases, we need the tools only. Why to waste the money in the case of the gripper? And in some cases, we are using the gripper. But human hand is such that it sometime you can use it as a tool, sometime it can use it as a gripper, as per which is not the case of the robots. So you see application of some robots with the grippers. See the different type of the grippers, different applications. So if you look into the literature, over the last 2 decades, multi-finger robotic gripper grasping has shown from somewhat marginal topic to an important field of robotic research. This increasing interest in the robotic grasping is partly due to the evolution of the industrial automation toward the flexible automation. And the transition from the large batch size to the medium and small sizes has led to the replacement of with special purpose devices, more general purpose, and end effectors enabling the manipulation of broader class of objects. This is the issue. General purpose hands are required. Therefore, end effector becomes the more flexible, control becomes the more complex, and better understanding of the grasping turns out to be a challenging issue. This is the basic research topic, broader research topic for the robotic grippers, grasping multi-finger grippers. You will have to make more flexible grippers. Okay, no issue. This is the requirement. This is a problem. In that case, the control will become more complex. This is the issue. So, understanding of grasping turns out to be a challenging issue, which is nothing but the mechanics. So, as the robotics interdisciplinary area, people from the mechanical engineering, people from the electrical engineering, people from the computer and electronics engineering, all they are working. And the manipulation and grasping is one of the very challenging issue for the implementation and application of the robots and in the industry. In fact, manipulation began less than 25 years ago when the first computer-controlled manipulator was demonstrated. Since that time, scientists and engineers have demonstrated hundreds of different manipulators and demonstrated thousands of different applications. Yet today, we cannot claim to understand the manipulation. Means holding the object and holding and manipulating. The present state of robotic manipulation is that we can build the mechanical arm, we can move them around accurately, but we do not know how to use them effectively. So all these issues which are there are to be related with the design issues. And when we talk about the design of the multi-finger robotic gripper, so the issue is there, dexterity, one of the issue. Anthropomorphism is another issue. Mode of actuation is another issue. Degree of freedom. So dexterity is one of the very major issue. A lot of people are working in the area of the dexterity. Then anthropomorphism, ability of the gripper to intimate the human hand in terms of the shape, size, and aesthetics. Again, a lot of work is there and people are working. You can refer the different robotic journal, you will find. Then the mode of actuation, what type of the actuators are there, whether electrical actuators are there or hydraulic actuators are there or pneumatic actuators are to be there, depending upon the application of the robot, depending upon the cost of the system, actuation system, the performance of the actuation, studies, characteristics of the actuation, all these are the issues. Then the degree of freedom is one of the very major challenge for the grippers. As I told you that if you go for the body arm is say 3, wrist assembly 3, it's 6. Human head has 36. So these 30 degrees of freedom, how to bring them? And if you are going to increase the number of degree of freedom, control becomes very complex. And when the control becomes going to become complex, it will not be hand, it will become a drum. So these are the challenges with the in front of the engineers. How to address these design issues. A lot of people are working in this area. For example, some issues you can see here that grasping and manipulation is shown for the different class of objects for the different grippers which have been developed. Of course, it's a 5-finger gripper. If you refer the literature, you will find n number of the people are working to solve these issues, and they have developed standards and have been developed. But the issue, the major problem, they are not like the human hand, and you cannot use for them general purpose. All the hands have their advantages and disadvantages. It is not like the human hand. So you can see in the literature, different hands have been developed having the different number of the fingers. Even it is a point of issue whether to have the 3 finger, whether to have the 4 finger, whether to have the 5 finger. Why God has given only 5 finger? Why not God has given 6 finger? Why not 3 finger? Why 4 finger? People are working and they are testing what is the advantage of the 3 finger, what are the disadvantages of the 3 fingers. Similarly, 4 finger and the 5 fingers. These different hands are already available in the literature. You can just go through. Here again, actuation, the different fingers are shown here. And design issues which we discussed, how dexterous is it. So a lot of people were working in this area and but apparently it has been developed that hands are looking like the human hand, but from the practical aspect, they don't have all those characteristics which a human hand have. In the same line, here in the our lab, we are working on a hand and we have given a name as the Jamia hand. This hand is designed in the robotics and automation lab of mechanical engineering department, Jamia Islamia. It consists 3 fingers and a thumb. So total 4 fingers are there. Each finger has one thumb. Each finger and one thumb has one actuator for their movement. Here, the grippers are the tendon driven, which simply the machine and reduce the cost. So this hand we are developing, yet it is in the stage of the development. In one finger, so 3 flanges which are there, and the joints of the flanges are with the help of the torsional spring, and a tendon is passing from inside. At the end, we have pulley. So tendon is passing over the pulley, and then we apply the weight there. So interaction and contraction and retraction is when we apply the load, it will contract. When we'll remove the load, it will retract. This is the situation for the fingers and the thumb. Same is in the same way we develop the thumb also. So the 3 fingers are like this. Of course, from the human anatomy analogy is with reference to the dimensions. We provide these springs, torsional springs. So at the last distal flange, 1 spring is there. In between the middle and proximal, we have the 2 springs, and as at the base, the maximum load is going to be there at the base. So 4 springs are there. Has been tested for the different objects, whether spherical or the cylindrical objects. On the force analysis aspect, the basic equations are used and it has been tested and verified. Of course, the four finger are there, so total load will be divided by the 4 and you can get the tension. Simply using the basic pulley equation, belt tension equation, T1 upon T2 is for mu theta, and you can solve it. You can get the tensions in each with a tendon. With the help of that, we perform the experiment and we verified whatsoever the results which were there. You can see that the grasping force per unit weight variation with the size of the object. Of course, there were the three material, galvanized iron, then wood as well as thermocouple. Three material objects were there. So how the grasping force was varying when the size of the objects was varying. You can see it here. For the, again, as the shape is going to vary for the hexagonal shape, similarly for the rectangular shape. In another study, when we did for the kinematic study, we went for the forward and inverse kinematic workspace analysis also. So in the fingers, which are taking the three links, putting the coordinate frames and applying the Dennett-Hart number. So as you will be, those who have studied the robotics, they will be knowing that how to develop the DH parameters. So it is here it is shown only for one finger and one thumb. So DH parameters and actual values are taken from the hand. Of course, it is within analogy with the human hand. So for the thumb and for the hand, it is taken here. The parameters for the thumb and parameters for the finger. Then standard DH matrix, 4x4 transformation matrix is used, and with the help that forward kinematics was performed. So when we plot it for the finger motions for the different positions, so these trajectories we got for the fingertip motion, and similarly for the thumb motion we got these trajectories. For the inverse kinematic, of course, as from the industrial point of view, inverse kinematic is important. Same the case is here also, and we, with the help of geometrical methods, we went for the inverse kinematic, and then we went for the workspace analysis. So we plotted the workspace analysis with the help of the MATLAB. Got the 2D and 3D plots. Lot of outcomes are there, and studies which we give. One of these are listed here. I'm not going to discuss all of them, but some of the important points that this can help in solving the kinematic and mathematical statement demonstrating the fingertip movement concerning the general coordinate system. This is for the this can be for the any robot. Kinematic simulation are performed to determine the work volume of the four-finger robotic hand. The aim is to assess the motion constant of this hand only. Inverse kinematic has also been computed to determine the different joint angles with the known different fingertip positions and orientation. So these studies are important from the design point of view, and whatsoever the work is yet in the development stage. We also got some projects from the different ministries to complete the work, because we have the next stage, and 2-3 research scholars are already working on them. We have the vacancies for 1 or 2 research scholars who may join to extend this work. The work has already been accepted by the international repute journals, ACM has also published our work. InterScience, International Journal of Machines and Intelligent Machines and Robotics have also published our work. So these are some of the glimpses where we have published this work. So from the application, because these grippers have lot of applications in the area of the industrial application, rehabilitation, humanoid robots, other human applications. So a lot of scope is there. From the commercial aspect, lot of gripper industries are there. They are asking, giving day by daily, these are the issues. We are searching the students who can work and can give the output as per the desire of the industrial requirements. You must be knowing the application of the robot in the medical sciences, especially the robotic surgery. Multi-finger robotic gripper is going to play a very important role. If you would have seen any manual surgery, how fast the doctors move their hand. How similar the situation when you are going for the robotic surgery. If the hands are not so dexterous, so flexible, it is an issue during the operation, and that's why a lot of constraints are there. In the different other areas of the medicine, ultimately it is a gripper who is going to interact with the human body. And if the gripper of the robot is not like the human hand, always there are the issues. So these issues are to be challenged in form of the design issues of the gripper. Space NASA work, which is the Mars Pathfinder mission. So a lot of issues are there with the related to that application. And day-to-day industries which you have visited, for example, whether it's a Maruti assembly line or New Holland tractor, if you would have visited, or JBM, you can see what type of the grippers they are using and what are the issues are there. There are a lot of constraints. So all these constraints can be addressed by the solving the design issues of the robotic grippers. So here in our university, we have established a special setup for this robots and their testing. And we have a complete lab with the 3-4 robots with conveyor belt, with CNC machine integrated system is there. And we are testing these grippers on the different machines with the help of the PNC pneumatic control systems are there. These are the different hardwares which are in the setup: linear slide base, pallets, network systems, CNCs, conveyor, VSRS, and the robots, and the different softwares which we are using for in this setup. Different softwares which we are using in this setup, and different workstations are there. This is the complete cycle that from the input raw material is given into the feeder, and then it goes to station 1, and from there the robots take it, transfer to the different machines. After processing, again robot take it, and with the help of the conveyor it reaches to the storage division, and finally the output. This cycle is there. So this is a good area from the demonstration point of view for the UG level student. However, PG and PG level students are doing the different exercises. Of course, the research students are testing, and we are especially working in the area of the design issues of the multi-finger robotic grippers. So, however, there are the different other robotic areas of the research where interested faculty members may go in the arm modeling, arm kinematics, dynamics, trajectory control, artificial intelligence, robotic vision. For them, they will have to go through where the special robotic centers are there. IIT Kharagpur has, IIT Kanpur has these 2 centers. However, good robotics works in IIT Delhi and IIT Madras also. And I am thankful to my teachers who gave me the idea and taught me the robotics: Professor Hamiuddin, Professor Sudipto Mukherjee, Professor Rashid Ahmad Khan. These are my research scholars. Most of them have finished their work. However, some of them are yet working. working team in my areas and the allied areas. Here, before closing my talk, I will introduce you the Robotic Society. The Robotic Society of India is one of the very famous and important society with reference to the activities to be taken up by the in the academics and industry. So this society has a lot of support from the government also. Government has giving the different assignments which are required for the national and international level issues. The objective of the society promote the teaching and training and research related to robotics, encourage the interaction between the robotic research in India, hold joint workshop and conferences at the national international level, associate with the other organizations involved in the robotics, other societies which are working in the area of the robotics like IEEE, ASME, publishing of the newspaper, proceeding journals, etc. So these are some of the objectives. These are the office bearers of the society. Professor Shantanu Chaudhary, who is presently the director of IIIT Jabalpur, I think. He is the president of the society. Professor S.K. Saha from IIT Delhi, he is the vice president of the society. As well as one more vice president is there from the industry, Bhabha Atomic Research Center, Professor Dabanik Rai. He is the Bhabha Atomic Research Center. Myself, I am the treasurer of this society. And the Professor T. Ashokan from IIT Madras is the secretary of the society. We have the members, student members, editors for this society. This is the address. You please note if you want to take the membership of the society. Since the basic objective is for the education in the industry, we kept the fees is very low. Only 600 rupees we kept the fees for the UG level and PG level student and research scholars who want to join the membership. This 600 rupees for the BTech level, it is for the 4-year fees. For the UG, PG level, it's 2-year fees. And the research scholar as they are going to submit their pay. However, the faculty members, if they want to join this society, they may also join. For them for 5 years. I think the fees is 4,000, 5,000 like this. You can also open faculty members can also open the chapter of this society in their colleges, in their institute. And for opening the chapter, they need 2 faculty members and 20 student member. On the basis of that, student chapter can be opened, and then you can get a lot of technical and financial support from the society as and when required if you are going to do any specific activity with the robotics. So you please note this address. If you want anything further, all the things are available here, www.rsindia.org. These are the different conferences which we already have organized in 2013, DRDO Pune, then 15 BIT Fulani, 17 IIT Delhi, 19. After 2 years, we are organizing these conferences in 19 IIT Madras. In 2021, in the July, in the first week of the July, conference was IIT Kanpur. Now, next conference is scheduled at, I think, IIT Ropar. These are some glimpses of 2017 conference, the IIT Chennai conference, Madras 2019. This conference this year we conducted total online conference because of ongoing pandemic. It was difficult and there were the issues for calling so many people at any place. So this was totally an online conference. Next conference will be in IIT Ropar, so you may participate there. The different workshops are being organized. You can just go through on the website. You will find the details of these workshops there. This is my address. If you have any issue related or any point of discussion related to the Robotic Society, you can discuss with me, or whatever I have discussed, or design issues related to the GRIPPers or the basics fundamentals of the robotics or robotic curriculum. You can always welcome. You can drop me the mail. Thank you, everyone. Now, if there are the questions, I would like to address them. Mr. Vimlesh. Mr. Vimlesh. Mr. Vimlesh. As such, in the chat box, I don't find the questions.
So any participant, if you have any question, you can free to ask. You can now unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can put a question in chat box. I can read it for sir. So I think, sir, there is no question from participant side. So thank you so much, sir, for joining this session and really introduce and elaborate us about this topic. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you on the behalf of organizing team and J.C. Bose University. I heartily thanks to you for joining session and giving your time for us. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Should I log out?